to Real Biz Talk with Zandra, where I showcase small business so that you can grow and scale your business globally. And today in the studio, I got Julian Placino. Julian, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on, Sandra. It's a pleasure.
All right, Julian. Tell my viewers a bit about this transition and reinvention that has occurred in your life.
So I come from a talent acquisition background for the past 12 years. So recruiting and staffing has been my base. And in 2016, I started a passion project, my podcast, The Pathways to Success, where I interview leaders about their journeys to success. And I just never stopped working on that passion project. And it led to sponsorships. I got signed by a talent agency. I got signed by a speaking agency. And ultimately, I was able to build a consulting company where I would teach these insights about personal branding, replace my income, and go full-time into the path of entrepreneurship as of March of 2019.
Ooh, you have...
There's a lot there,
yeah. That's a lot on the runway.
Yeah.
So listen, did you expect to make a transition and that you kind of prepared yourself for that?
No, it actually happened organically with this particular endeavor. And although I worked in corporate for 12 years, for 10 years, I was highly entrepreneurial because I discovered that a core value that I had was freedom and autonomy, and the only way I could experience that was through entrepreneurship. So for 10 years, I side hustled doing not too different from like what you were doing, right? So many different businesses, real estate, network marketing, internet business, you name it. And I never achieved any kind of great success with any of them. But in March of 2016, I changed my approach to entrepreneurship. Instead of trying to make money, I just wanted to do something that I loved, centered around my strengths, and that added value to people. And I always loved having interesting conversations with interesting people, and the podcast was me just capturing these conversations and sharing them with others. But as a result, all of this abundance came from this one particular thing that birthed out of a passion of mine.
And so having that passion deep inside of you, working in a corporate job, having the side hustle, did you find when you were in corporate that you were using some of those talents, and how so?
Yes, 100%. So I was very fortunate to oversee talent acquisition for 7 years for an incredible company called Bottle Rocket Studios. Okay. And to this day, honestly, I'd still be there if I didn't experience a greater calling in entrepreneurship, right? But for 7 years, my job was a recruiter. So I was constantly interviewing candidates, right? This was just a different spin on that skill set. It was less about screening people in and screening people out, but rather it was about discovering their story and sharing their lessons with my audience. So yes, I'm sort of uniquely equipped to do a podcast because of my corporate background in recruiting.
That's awesome. So that's a wonderful transition that you could take what you were doing in corporate and then create this wonderful, wonderful podcast called The Pathway to Success. Tell me how you named it.
You know, I wish I could have been a little bit more creative about naming it, and I actually had some folks who were helping me concept it say it was too safe, but truly that's what it is. I think one of the best ways to inspire leadership is to showcase people who were doing great things. And the thing that I wanted to do was unpack their pathway to success to see what their lessons were that we could share with our audience, because it was literal. The great thing that I learned about people who've achieved great results, especially in my corporate background, is you didn't have to sell anything. You just have to figure out what did they do to produce these outcomes. And that is what I feature on my show.
That's awesome. Making this transition, what was the greatest win for you?
The greatest win, so Zandra, we were on Trevor's Lunch with Champions, right?
Yes.
And I think one of the questions was, how do you know that you're successful, or how do you define a champion?
Yeah.
And for me, my response was, am I living my core values of number one, am I free? Am I fully expressed? And am I serving God? And for me, I believe that this kind of work that I'm doing is an extension of the gifts that He has given me, right? So that is the biggest win for me, to be able to create value, to do work that I love, and simultaneously help people uniquely using the gifts and talents that I have.
That is awesome. So we all know that there are challenges, right? There are challenges that come with, birthing a business and really bringing it to bear. What was one of your greatest challenges?
I mean, how much time do we have? We have so many, right? So we just hit a pandemic, and I'm known as a speaker and also trainer. That is the core of what my consulting company is, right? So in March of 2020, I had every single speaking engagement canceled within 48 hours. That was more than 51% of my revenue, right? So for me, I was thinking, man, what's going to happen here? You know, did the pity party and all this and that. And what started to come clear to me is that as a speaker, I solved problems with my ideas and my strategies. My ability to do that didn't change, but the mechanism through which I delivered that value did. So what started to happen was I virtualized my business, which actually increased my capacity to be of service to companies outside of my geographic area here in Dallas, Texas, right?
Yes.
So that was a huge adversity that became an opportunity.
I love that, because a lot of people, you know, maybe didn't have a digital component to their business when the pandemic hit, but people that embrace that this is it, this is what it is, and literally, you know, made that pivot and began to plan and execute are the folks that now have a business that is digitally based that allows you to serve people outside of your local area.
Right.
That's
100%.
awesome. I was looking on LinkedIn and I just found it to be amazing that maybe over the last 4 months, how you have upped your game. I was like, you showed yourself podcasting at a desk, you know, no background, doing your thing. And now you are on a professional set and doing pathways to success. Just amazing work. What made you take that transition? Did you look at yourself or what happened?
Well, I can tell you that LinkedIn truly has changed my life, and that is the core of what I teach in terms of personal branding for B2B sales professionals specifically, because I saw that when you create content, this personal brand or your online expression, it can either work for you or against you. And as a recruiter, I've used LinkedIn as a sourcing tool to find candidates since 2006. But I didn't start using it as a publishing tool to create content until 2018. And that is what supercharged my brand, right? So as far as how did I go from producing a podcast sort of at an amateur level by myself to getting it professionally produced, I was invited on Trevor Houston's show, the Who You Know Job Networking show, and that is where he produces the show. Yeah. But what I saw in that whole experience was, number one, I started to envision what would my show look like produced on this particular platform, right? So Trevor is so generous with his knowledge. He showed me kind of like what he did to be able to produce it here. He showed me how to get my first sponsor, and that's how I was able to get the show professionally produced. So it really did go from a hobby to a professionally produced show.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I love it. Thank you for having me on your show.
Yeah,
I enjoyed
awesome.
it.
It was one of my favorites for sure.
Check out the Pathway to Success.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it's an amazing show. So what are all the things that you do that you have in your toolbox? Because I know you said consultant. So give me a rundown of all the things that you do. Julian.
So I'm a recruiter turned success speaker. So I do keynote speaking.
Yes.
I'm known for giving speeches on personal branding, leadership, and also career success, right?
Nice.
I'm the host of the Pathways to Success on YouTube and iTunes, where I help my viewers and listeners find their own unique pathway to success by interviewing the world's greatest leaders, like yourself, of course. And my consulting business is I teach personal branding to corporations, specifically B2B sales teams of 30 and above. And I teach them how to build a personal brand to make their online presence work for them instead of against them. And the benefits of having a personal brand in B2B sales is, number one, increased access to decision makers. Number two, boosted credibility, trust, and authority. And then lastly, a greater following, which becomes sort of a distribution channel for communication and greater social influence. So that's
nice.
what I do.
Nice. That is a mouthful.
That is
You're
a
a busy
mouthful.
man.
I'm a busy man, and it's like I wish I could say I was smart enough to know I was going to gain these insights by doing my podcast, but you almost need to fall in love with the discipline, because that is the right energy that you need to put towards this craft, to experience and then own these insights that you teach others.
That's awesome. How can folks get a hold of you if they'd like to work with you?
they can reach me at, do I look in this camera here? At julianplacino.com. My email address is julian@julianplacino.com.
Look at this camera, look at me.
And look at you, right? And of course, I'm most active on LinkedIn.
That's awesome. I know that, there's new platforms that are out there, right? And I think that you are very involved with that new platform. Tell us more about you as a moderator.
So Clubhouse is the new listen-only app. And the biggest problem I think it has solved for me and what I'm learning about others is sort of this issue of connection amid social distancing. Because it is listen only, it sort of takes down the barrier of plugging into a community and being sort of apprehensive with the way other people look or the way that I look or whatever. And it's just listen only, right? And what I'm seeing is that there are tremendous influencers coming on this platform, Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, and within a click of a button, you can be in the same room listening to them. Yeah. So as a moderator, I see myself as just someone who helps sort of facilitate a conversation. And the whole idea behind Lunch with Champions is helping all of our attendees and group participants 10x their career, whether it's in business or personal development.
Absolutely. So what words of wisdom would you give to someone that potentially, is in a corporate position and will need to make that transition? What words of wisdom would you give?
So I feel like my whole life's story is the message of stewardship. The discovery, deployment, and development of our talents and resources to be of service to others, right? I was trying to do entrepreneurship the wrong way for selfish reasons, right? But I saw that you start to emerge as the best version of yourself whenever you find the intersection of your natural strengths and talents, your areas of interest, and what creates value for others. So I would say as early on as you can in life, find that intersection of your strengths, your interest, and what serves other people.
Listen, you need to find that intersection. And if you need help, you should reach out to Julian Placino.
Love that.
Julian, tell them again how to get a hold of you.
You can check out my website at julianplacino.com, or you can send me an email at julian@julianplacino.com.
That's cool. What's on the horizon for you before we get ready to wrap up today?
What's on the horizon is that it seems that my corporate consulting business is continuing to expand, and now because of the virtual platform, I'm able to serve more people at any given time. So between taking the show to the next level, growing my consulting practice, I definitely have my hands full, and I'm grateful for all the opportunities.
That's awesome. Well, I can tell you this has been like an awesome interview to sit and to really get to understand your journey. Your journey is significant. So we thank you. We thank you for your willingness to share and to tell our viewers all about you. And thank you for watching another episode of Real Biz Talk with Zandra, where I showcase small business so that you could grow and scale your business locally, nationally, and globally. Until we meet again, as I always say, continue to be the best you. Peace.
You love your practice. Providing the best patient care is your #1 goal. Part of providing that care is having the time and adequate help to do so. Equinox PPS provides all the solutions you'll need. Is your practice having high turnover, inaccurate insurance verifications, slow collections? We determine the best method of support for each client's business needs. Improve your cash flow, have more time for patient care, and confidence over billing and collection expertise. Inexperience can jeopardize the financial health of your practice. Visit Equinox PPS to schedule your call today.